What is going on, guys? It is your motivation guy. Man, that's right. Your friend, come on, say it with me, the one and only Keith Allen. You know, a couple weeks ago, I don't know how long ago it was ago, but someone called me a wannabe influencer. A wannabe influencer. Like, what? You know, I realized, like, it really doesn't matter if you have 5 followers or you have 100 million followers. You're influencing people every single day. Like, what is a wannabe influencer? If you influence one person for the rest of your life, you're an influencer. You just influence somebody, so you're an influencer, right? And so I want you guys to know, man, don't be discouraged about, you know, how many followers you have or, you know, how many people are subbed to your channel, man. You're making an impact on somebody or on someone, okay? So keep going, man. Even if you walk down the street and you smile at somebody, you just made an impression, you know, on them. You know, like whatever it is, and it doesn't have to be big or small. You're influencing folks, so keep going. So if you don't already know, you know, with the second season, Fortnite Chapter 2, you know, with you know, the mythic weapons, increased mobility, heavy snipers, really all make it a viable strategy to W key. And so in today's video, we're gonna be, you know, giving you guys some tips and tricks on how to W key. And we're gonna be looking at who I believe is like one of the best W keyers in the world. So for our question of the day, who is your favorite W key player like right now? For me, I have to say it's AV, and you're gonna know why in this video. So stay tuned for more. All right, guys, it's about that time. Uh-oh, what in the world? It's time to sit back, relax, and grab some of my favorite candy. Come on, man, Smokey, you already know what it is. It is that Bunch of Crunch. Oh my God.
And one more thing, if you're looking to improve at Fortnite and possibly reach a pro level, check out our website, ProGuides.com, where we have 24/7 coaching from top pros to help you guys reach that next level, along with courses and guides from some fan favorite pros like Mongrel, Benji, and Letchi. No matter what you're looking to improve on, ProGuides has you covered. And with all that being said, let's start by discussing, guys, when you should and you shouldn't W key, because this is a mistake far too many players make. You know, it's no secret that the best W keyers tend to rack up insane amounts of points in tournaments, and it's natural to want to do that as well. But some people push it like way too far and make a number of mistakes that result in their W key games ending up as some of their most embarrassing losses. You know, the first common mistake is pushing too early. You know, even if you're playing a W key game, you shouldn't be landing where 20 other players are or taking a straight up 50-50 spawn fight. You know, what a lot of pros do is land at their normal drop spots, and then they try to loot up and just rotate out as far as possible and start their W king from there. This allows them to guarantee that, you know, they're gonna have good uncontested loot, so they can just roll through the mid and late game with ease, you know, just drop an insane amount of kills. The second mistake is pushing when the storm is far or has already overtaken you. So, you know, the best option here is to just disengage and rotate instead of just wasting time in a storm at a stalemate with your opponents. Before you decide to push or get into a fight, make sure you have a decent zone and be sure to check it constantly, so you know when it's just time to pack your bags and save your fights for later. Okay, so the third mistake, my friends, and one that impacts a lot of players, is W king but taking too long to fight. Okay, so think of every second when you fight to be like a clock, which increases the odds of the third party each and every second. Okay, so when you W key, it's absolutely necessary to just get the jump on your opponents and just, you know, get out as quick as possible. You know, you're gonna see pros like Unknown Army and Scope always looking for, you know, pre-fight damage, then instantly pushing up super fast. So they can not only just get more kills in less time, but also minimize the odds of a third party coming along, potentially ending their entire game. So, you know, when you W key, always make sure that you're the one sneaking up on your opponent, and then end the fight as soon as possible by applying constant pressure and controlling the fight. All right, so finally, our last mistake is W keying too late into the game.
Oh mate, oh my God. I need help, bro, I need help. You blocked me. Oh no, that was...
All right, this is especially true in tournaments when the second or third zone has come in and, you know, players are all over the place looking to third party. The most optimal time to push fights is in the first zone, or possibly the second, depending on, you know, if your lobby is stacked or not. If you're pushing people later than that, you might be in trouble. Next up, we're going to be talking about why W king is such a good strategy in this meta. Okay, so as you know, the mythic weapons are some of the most overpowered items Fortnite has ever seen. The mythic drum gun, the minigun, the boom bow, Scar, and heavy AR are all insanely strong, and the grappler allows for insanely fast movement. Okay, so with these insane weapons all over the place now, the need for strong loot is so much more important than previous seasons. And to get good loot, you're gonna need to fight, whether it's by third partying or just fighting off spawn for a good POI or anything else. You're going to need to win a few battles just to make it to the end game with a good chance of winning. Okay, so another point for the W key meta is that to be at the top in these tournaments, like the daily duo cups, FNCS, and solo cash cups, you have to fight. It's really that simple. Almost every top team lands at a large POI or a mythic spot, right? Clears out the area, gets the insane loot, and then just goes on to W key and get a bunch of kills before endgame. To keep up with these players, oh my goodness, it's like absolutely crucial to sharpen your W key skills and start getting into more fights in game. I like to go over one more thing before we really get into the analysis section of this video, and that's dual W keying. As you might already know, like teams like Scoped and Tfue, and Chapped and AV are all some of the best W keyers in the game, and that largely helps them in placing at the top almost every single time. Alright guys, so in duels, if you're trying to maximize your points, it's good to consider landing at either a mythic POI or landing at a large POI with a lot of loot. Being able to get kills in early and mid game is important, and that importance is multiplied when you're in a team playlist. And the mythic weapons will allow you to do so much more and dominate fights so much more easier than simply just having a good, just normal loot wheel. Okay, so when you W key as a duo, try to sneak up on your opponents and do a countdown spray. This is basically where you're able to sneak up behind your opponents, both lock your crosshair on one player, and then count down to 3, 2, 1, and just start spraying at the same player. Alright, so this is going to allow you to heavily damage or even knock one player, making the fight much more manageable, right? Okay, so if you're not able to countdown spray, make sure you're always the aggressors in your fights. In the majority of fights, man, the team who pushes high ground first or gets early shots is the team who ends up on top. The next tip for dual W king is to never push down alone. Usually if you get high ground, your opponents are going to be playing in the same box, so make sure the coordination is there and that one player in the duel doesn't push down alone, or it's going to be an easy 1v2 for the other team. Okay, so instead, either have both players drop down and push together, or just stay above the enemy team together and just put on pressure from above. And the final W king tip, ladies and gentlemen, and one that is important in both solos, duels, and other playlists, is not be afraid to disengage. Yeah, I said it. In the majority of fights, even ones where you're in total shambles, disengaging is an option, right? You see it all the time in pro lobbies, and it honestly works in lower lobbies as well. Always be open to the option of disengaging because it might save your game. Alright guys, so now that we've gone over some general tips for W keying, we're going to be looking at a game from AV, one of the best W keyers in the entire world right now. As an introduction, AV is the duo of Liquid Chap, one of the OG Fortnite legends, alright? And this is for good reason. AV is a controller player who consistently places at the top in cups, especially in solos, where his W king knowledge, solid game sense, insane mechanics, and his aim assist all come together to form a beast that you do not want to run into. To all my controller squads out there, sorry about the aim assist part, but it's true. In this analysis, we're going to be mostly looking at what AV does in fights, instead of looking at the big picture like rotations. Alright guys, let's get started. Alright, so starting off this game, AV decides to land at Misty Meadows for this bus route. The great thing here, and I mean like right here, is that Misty is just in the middle of the bus route, right? So it's going to be contested for sure, but not too heavily where it is all just a, 50-50. When you play cups and you want to get a lot of kills, feel free to land at a contested spot, alright? But don't land at a super hot drop where it basically is a race to get a gun. Okay, so AV lands straight on this, great pump, and he goes to grab a chest, getting a blue tack, and up to the roof, getting a blue AR. He quickly runs up to this other rooftop, getting some minis from the chest, so he's about to get some kills, right? Note how instead of pushing super early or going for a 50-50, AV takes the time to just get kitted up and ensures that he has materials. He has shield, and now he has loot before getting into any fights. Even though he did get a really good weapon, a blue tack, off start, he decided to wait and just loot up for some more. So after looting this solid chunk of area, he decides he's ready to get some kills. Alright, so he quickly pushes up to this building where he hears a player and pushes in. But he gets pumped with an absolutely stinky shot right here. So he decides to back off for the moment. So he moves over to the other building. Then he finds a bandage bazooka to heal up with. All right, so note even AV here. You know, one of the best W keyers isn't afraid to take a step back instead of just taking a bad fight. And this could have easily been the reason he survived the situation. Okay, so here's an example of what not to do in this situation. AV is like relatively low on health with no extra shields and only 25, but he decides to push this player. You know, that's all fine and all that, but you know, until he gets a bit too close for comfort, you know, and then the other player hits a lucky one tap. All right, so look, now to be fair, you know, AV did get, you know, pretty unlucky with his tack damage and probably should have been able to kill that player so easily, but the point still stands that he pushed in a pretty poor situation. But we don't want to end the analysis that abruptly on such a bad note, so let's just take a few more fights from a game he did pretty well in. All right, so in this game, which was like one right after that one, AV decides once again to land in Misty Meadows, where it's a medium temperature drop, not too cold, you know, not too high, just right. AV gets a nice drop to this SMG and catches this player with his pants down. Ha, get him. All right, so this was a pretty good example of situational awareness, man. Like, AV saw that this player had an early drop, so he grabbed the SMG and he quickly went inside for a right-hand peek to clear up this player like right away. Always make sure, guys, like you're aware of your surroundings, right? And looking for players with bad drops just like this guy so you can get these easy kills. Hope you got that. All right, so moving on. AV leaves this building after healing and he catches this player off guard with a quick tack shot. The player starts, you know, cranking for height, and AV knows that if he turns this into a build fight, it's gonna last like a really long time and he might end up just being third party. So instead, he sprays the opponent down and he finishes him off easy. All right, sometimes, you know, there's an easy way just like that to save materials by, you know, breaking someone down, using the insides of buildings, the box fight, and, you know, just other things like that. It's really up to you to just spot them out. All right, so we're gonna be skipping ahead a bit here to AV's 7th kill of the game. Before this fight even begins, let's do a push check, all right? Materials, almost 1,000, check. Loot, amazing, check. Health, 167, which is pretty good, and he has extra shields if they're needed, so we'll give him a check too. And the zone is also pretty good. I mean, it's first zone, and they're on the edge, which means the odds of a third party are pretty low. So overall, this is a fine fight to take. All right, so that being said, AV rolls up and tries to catch the player off guard. Unfortunately, the player catches him and nobody gets damage off. However, AV is confident in his skills and he knows he can beat this player with his insane loot, so he's fine continuing the fight. AV does a nice little high ground retake right here. He gets height and immediately whips out the SMG to get some chip damage and put on some pressure. His opponent essentially panic builds into this tree, getting one tag on AV, but AV makes a really good play towards the end here. Instead of just cranking up for height, he knows his opponent is confused and is not going to spot him. So he stays down and he catches his opponent with a few quick tack shots from the back. This not only allows AV to get a good angle here, but it also allows him to save his materials. You know, in a lot of these situations, guys, it's really fine to just avoid using too many materials, man. And AV is really a master of saving materials. So you guys got to try to implement some of this into your game for sure. It'll definitely help, but don't go overboard and like use literally zero. I mean, really just got to be smart, you know, about how much you build, and always just be aware when your materials are low. And also just know how to save some during fights to avoid running all out. Overall, AV's gameplay is amazing, and he really helps show and emphasize some of the things we've discussed in this video. Follow the advice in this video, guys, to get better at W King and find more success in tournaments and arena in the future. All right, guys, once again, this is your motivation guy. That's right, your friend, the one and only Keith Allen. Hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure to connect with me at your motivation guy. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel. We got so much more coming out right now, man. So you guys stay strong, and we'll see you soon.